Welcome. This is Greg from Greg's Tutoring NYC. How's everybody doing? We're in the middle of a poetry series. I've analyzed about a dozen poems already, and I'm probably going to analyze a few more. You can find the link to the previous ones. At the bottom right now is my email at GregsTutoringNYC@gmail.com. But if we, let's see, the other poems, it's now at the bottom at GregsTutoringNYC.com/SHSAT-poetry. So that's where you're going to find the analysis of the other ones. Most of them are based on multiple choice, and most of them are based on the premise is for the SHSAT standardized exam for entrance to New York City's high schools, as well as the Hunter College High School exam. There's other uses for this as well. In fact, this exam I'm using now is the 2022 grade 5 sample exam from last year or whatever, or 2 years ago. So I'm trying to add wiggle room here so that everything is not super advanced. That said, grade 5 poem can still be challenging. Poetry creates its own issues with figurative language and additional levels of abstraction in metaphors and similes that are not as prevalent in non-poet poem material, but still it's a skill and something else that you need to figure out. So all right, so let's jump into this. All right, so the poem we're going to be looking at today is called "The Raindrops, New Dresses." So that sounds weird, right? What could be going on there? There's new dresses for raindrops. I don't know raindrops even more dresses in the first place. So let's see what the heck is going on. So this is either going to be super cryptic or it's just going to be something simple. Let's see where it goes. We just have this weird title, so let's get into it. We're so tired of these gray dresses. Cried the little drops of rain. All right, so raindrops are wearing gray dresses. Why? I don't know. As they come down helter skelter from the nimbus cloud fast train. So it seems to be raining out. A nimbus cloud is a rain cloud, and helter skelter is normally a chaotic situation. So like if a lightning storm or something was to break out, you could say, we often say it's raining cats and dogs kind of a thing. The helter skelter could just be a situation gets chaotic. So it sounds like it's raining really badly, perhaps raining bad. So that's what's going on here. And the gray makes sense now in context. Again, I still don't know why they're wearing dresses, but it's a gray rain cloud. It's a gloomy day kind of a thing. So all we have going on in the first stanza is just that. And by the way, before we get into that, each of these here is a stanza. This is vocabulary being defined for this exam. Different exams do this different way. The word spiteful here is going to end up being defined. Let's see if there's anything consistent here, like rain, train, way, day. So what we have on each stanza, it appears to just be a sentence. So I kind of like this because it implies the author's taking little bite-sized pieces of information here. And I like to ricochet off on these exams. Remember, we're doing reading comprehension and specific critical reading. I'm trying to look for flags that are going to help us interpret the passage. So I like that there's a bite-sized piece of information here. There's a different one here. There's a different one here. At least what's on the screen, I'm not seeing repetition, but there's rhyming, and the rhyming doesn't seem to be affecting anything too deeply, except for it being cute. Rain, train, way, day, and stuff like that. So if we come back here, it's raining out. That seems to be what's going on here. So it's raining. And it's a little gloomy, so we'll even do the gray part. Even though the gray is applying directly to the dresses, I think we can characterize the whole scenario is a gray kind of gloomy thing. Okay. Um, so we have that, and they bobbed against each other. So the raindrops are hitting each other. That's what's going on there. In a spiteful sort of way. So spiteful means mean. The raindrops are not happy apparently, or they're fighting at some level. As this gloomy storm is happening or whatever. Just like children, one bad temper gets the upper hand someday. All right, so they're fighting. It seems like because there's a temper, they're definitely annoyed, and they seem to be straight up mad. Right? They're not just annoyed, like that bothers me. They're fighting each other, so something's going on there. Um, and that's tying into the helter-skelter scenario anyway, where you could just look at any set of rain coming down and saying that kind of thing is happening. Um, Now there's a slight turning point here because it's moving away from the raw rain itself. The sun peeped out for a minute. All right, there's the rain occurring, the sun peeps out, and says, "Dears, be good and do not fight." So we have confirmed that they're mad and they're fighting right up here. I have ordered new dresses, dainty robes of the purest white. All right, so the son is observing what's going on, saying that's not a good deal. The son might not even be agreeing with him that they're so tired of the gray dresses. Right? Maybe there's a storm that ran through the whole country, and they're like, "We don't want to rain anymore," right? And in a way, it's personifying the sun. It's personifying the raindrops. It's even dressing them with dresses, right? So there's stuff like that. At this point, we can say white. Is this going to be snow? Maybe then, right? That's a valid kind of thing to think. We don't know when we're not certain about it. Actually, let me make sure this is showing on the screen. Uh, yeah, let me scroll up anyway. It is, but um, ah, then all the tiny raindrops hummed a merry, glad refrain. Okay, they're happy. They're happy that the sun is gonna fix things for them, right? Again, so there's another kind of turning point, if you will, here, where they're it's gloomy, they're fighting. The son's, hey, people, let's get our act together, let's stop fighting. And if you're good, I'm gonna order you some white dresses. And now it's kind of moved that they're not mad and annoyed anymore. They're happy. Okay, we know that because it says merry and glad and a refrain. So they might even be saying, "We're happy, we're happy, we're happy." Okay? And the old folks cried, "How pleasant is the music of the rain." All right? So this means they moved away from being helter skelter and they seem a little more conformant. And even a person sitting on a porch during the rain, could be wild, tumultuous rain. And then there could be rain that's almost like it's just tapping on the roof or the porch eave or something like that, and almost puts you to sleep. All right, so I think this might be where the author's leaning. So we could say non-helter skelter, right? Um, what's a better word for that? Well, it's pleasant. They're saying it's musical. Okay, so I think merry and glad, just merry and glad. Well, there are more tones. Where the helter skelter is the chaoticness. So there's more. The raindrops are conforming, right? They're behaving, and the situation is a little more passive. It's not as helter skelter. All right, and that's clear. The author's telling us. So just at even, so it turns out that means evening, right? At the end of the day, when the children had been safely tucked in bed, there was such a rush and bustle in the dark clouds overhead. So what could that rush and bustle be? Right? So we went from the storm to them being annoyed and mad till the sun saying, "Yay, we'll get new dresses." And they seem to now be behaving and stuff. And this is now relating to humans. So again, there's kind of a setting change here, right? And if you notice on the left side, I'm keeping my literary stuff here. And the right side, I'm mostly writing this little snippets, either a word or a phrase, to try to capture maybe the topic, the main idea, something really important in that stanza. That's what I'm doing there with those kind of things. So there's another little change occurring here, that just that evening when the children had been safely tucked in bed. So children are going to sleep. There was a rush and bustle in the dark cloud overhead. What could be going on there? What could that rustle and bustle be? I think I know. Um, I think they're changing their dresses from the gray dresses to these white dresses. Okay, let's see if that could be true. Um, then those raindrops hurried earthward, so they're falling, at the north wind's call, and the wee folks in the morning laughed at the flakes of snow. All right, so the raindrops changed their dresses. This gets a little more scientific-y here, where if you know how snow comes about, the rain gets tossed about up above until it gets frozen at different levels, and so that normally is the wind is transpiring the raindrops into snowflakes. Okay, and then the wee folk. So this is a little cryptic-y. So either this usually more leans on like gnomes and fairies and stuff like that. But I think they're talking about the children referenced above here, right? Wee folk meaning little folk, tiny folk, kind of thing like that. So not exactly sure. Anyway, the children go to sleep above here, right? They go to sleep. And down here, they wake up. And there's this so-called, I don't want to overstate this, but a winter wonderland scenario, and it's kind of a happy feeling, and not just for the raindrops, for the children and the humans as well. And we get again that they hurried. So this seems like it could still be the helter skelter talked about earlier, but I think now the raindrops are excited. They up above here. It seems like they changed their dresses into the nice white dresses, and they're happy about that. They're glad and they're excited because they know what's to come. They know they're going to transform into snowflakes. All right, so that seems like a cute, a kind of nice thing that happens. All right. So all right, let's jump into the questions. All right, let me see here. Let me bring those up. Okay, so this is from the short response section of the New York State exam. Again, I said it was the 2022 grade 5. So we don't have multiple choice questions here, but the analysis that we need to do and go through, it's going to be similar. All right, so first of all, let me change the color of the pen so we know we're not just analysis mode anymore. I go with purple. And it's talking about stanza 1. So it says, how does stanza 1, lines 1 through 4, if we, that's 1, and stanza 3, 9 through 12. So it's asking, how do they relate to each other? So at face value, this can be confusing, cryptic, a few things, and then they want to give 2 details. So I'm not going to focus so much on the details because once you get the relationship, it's just a matter of supporting it. All right. So there's things like that. Okay. So and one of the things with these open-ended questions is there's often a better answer and certainly a more common answer, but it doesn't need to be the only answer. Okay. With the multiple choice questions, we really are focusing on one single answer. And that's why it might usually say, what is the best choice? Right? Because there could be multiple answers, but which one matches what's really being spoken about by the author in the best way. All right, so this one's open-ended, so they're allowing you to give any answer, but you need to support it with the details, right? And that's a key for stuff, including when you're writing. Also, I mentioned earlier that our main focus is on an SHSAT and the Hunter College High School exam. The Hunter College High School exam also has a writing section, and one of the key things is when they give you a prompt is it doesn't matter as much what focus you're approaching on it, is that can you communicate to the reader what your focus is, and can you support it, right? If you can't do either one of those, you failed addressing the prompt. Even if you're correct about it, if you can't communicate that to the reader. So that's what we're trying to do here with these guys here as well, all right? So, and asked, how do they relate to each other? So if we just look at those two things, I'm going to give a few answers. Okay. One is they're both talking about dresses. In this case, gray dresses, and in this case, white dresses. Okay. So we get that. Let me just make sure this is showing on the screen. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. So that is one answer. And that's a relationship. I'm not sure it's the strongest relationship, but again, just like I just said, if that's the approach and the spiel you're going to take on this, you have to reinforce it with the support. So you're going to have to give the quotes about the two scenarios involving the different colored dresses and what's going on about them. And you're not particularly just showing the quotes. The quotes are the obvious part. You're trying to make the connectivity to show the relationship that's going on there. Oh, so that's one of the things here. Another thing we can notice about this is that the sun is involved. All right, so the sun peeps out, and the sun almost becomes an arbitrator here. The raindrops are fighting, and then they're not fighting. So that's a relationship right there. It's a contrast relationship, a compare and a contrast. All right, so the sun is acting as this arbitrator, almost, if you will, a parental figure, a guardian kind of figure, where it's like, stop, children, stop fighting, and it all throws a reward at them, right? That if they behave, they're going to get a reward, which is the white dresses, all right? And it's effective because we know in the next paragraph that they're happy about it. They're in glad refrain and things like that. So there's that. Okay. Um, uh, so I think the greater thing here, though, is that stanza 1 presents a problem, and stanza 3 presents the solution. Okay, if you will, out of the 3 examples I just gave of relationships, I think this one is the issue. It doesn't negate or remove or lessen the others, but isn't it so that the passage is about the dresses? Okay, and that can't be the only issue here because it could be figurative and this goes deeper. And the last question here is going to be about the theme, so we're going to explore that as well. So there are other meanings, and it doesn't mean the other ones are not there as long as we can support them again. All right. So, but I think the kind of top level one here is the change from the gray dresses to the white dresses involving a problem and solution kind of scenario. Okay. So there's basically a conflict and then the solution resolution. Right. That's what I think the relationship here is. So there's a problem and then it gets solved. Okay, there's a compare and contrast. There's also the thing about the sun being this guardian figure or whatever as well. So we basically have that. We have the guardian one, right? And then we have the other I gave, which is just the gray to the white, which is going to be the dress change as well. Right? Again, these are all valid answers to this. I lean on one myself. All right, and I'm not sure what I just showed on the screen there. All right, and even it shows my handwriting is so bad. All right, so that is really the answer to that one there. We at some point we'd have to figure out stuff. What is the topic? What about the raindrops? What about the new dresses? What seems to be the theme? What seems to be the main idea? What's the flow? What's the organization? What's the tone? These are all things we need to consider as we're ripping apart the passage from the beginning, not because of the questions. We're reading this for comprehension. We're reading this for critical analysis. We don't just do critical analysis. We have a set of questions. That's fine. You need to answer them. But this is something you should be doing as you're reading to be a quote good reader. All right. That's where we're starting to lean on here. Okay. The second question that they ask us is also an open-ended question. 37. How do the raindrops' feelings change throughout the poem? And again, use two details to back that up. All right. This is about feelings. How do they feel? Related to tone, maybe. What is their mood? What is the mood of these raindrops? Okay. So that is something we want to go on here. Now, I think there's a lot of answers to this question. And we can even take a position of, say, the children at the end of the story. Uh, the feelings of the children, the human children, is that basically it's uneventful for them. They just go to sleep and they wake up happy. But the question's about the raindrops. So if you wrote the answer centric on the children, you wouldn't get it right because you've missed the point. Okay. The other is that what changes throughout the story is it goes from rain to snow, but that's not the feelings of the raindrops. That's just what's occurring. So the operative word here is not change, but feelings, and feelings of the raindrops in specific. So if you talk about somebody else's feelings or something else's feelings, you missed the question. And if you only talk about change in general that happened in the passage, they went from a gray dress to a white dress. That's not what the question is. The question is actually what is going on here. So, and we can use clue words in the passage because we have things like, let me change the color of the pen one more time. Let's use the blue here. We have them bobbing up against each other. We have them being spiteful. We have them being mad and fighting, right? So that is something that happened here. So they're feeling annoyed. They're feeling mad, right? And at a certain point, at some point later, the raindrops only, right? They're merry and glad. So that is the basic transformation we're looking at for her. We're looking for angry to happy. We're looking for spiteful. That was one of the words they gave there, right? Spiteful here. Spiteful to cooperative. Spiteful to excited. I talked about the human children also being surprised and exciting. We know this because they hummed along, right? They hurried, right? They're happy, right? And even though the children laughed, it leaves us off there. But I suspect also that the snowflakes were also laughing about it. So we have that kind of a thing there. Related to mad versus happy, we also have other things like argumentative to being peaceful, things like that. Okay. So, but the basic tenet is we're moving from this negative, unhappy situation to this positive one. There's enough in the poem strictly about the raindrops to back that up. And again, if we tie it back to the title, even the raindrops, new dresses, that's a metaphor for that transition that happened. Okay, so that is useful. Titles are not terribly useful all the time, but it seems to be cooperative in the whole spiel of this change that we're trying to focus on here. All right. So again, It's feelings and raindrops, not anything else, right? If you start talking about anything else, even if it's true, it's not the answer. It's still not the answer. How did the raindrops' feelings change? Not how did the raindrops change, how did their feelings change? So if you answer something else, you don't get it. And like I just gave you maybe 5 different answers that deal strictly with the feelings of the raindrops changing. But basically, we're moving from this negative situation into this positive situation. And again, you can use your quotes to back up and support that, and all these kind of things like that. So this is dealing with the mood of the raindrops. Okay, the last one deals with the theme of the poem, and again, using details to back up what you think is the theme. So again, there's a multitude of things we can talk about here, and let me just make sure this is lined up right on the screen. Yeah, let me just slightly, in case I write there. I often mess that up. So we have, what is the theme of the poem? All right, so a lot of students don't know what theme is. It's more of the underlying, deeper meaning that's going on sometimes. It's not the topic. It could be related to the main idea, and often the three of those overlap. Um, and these can get to be hotter. And even if you know what a theme is, you're like, this is just about raindrops wearing dresses. What could be thematic there? Well, think about some of the stuff we talked about. We talked about them fighting, right? So one theme might be fighting is not a helpful thing to do, and cooperation is helpful. So at the end of the poem, they do cooperate. So that's one theme. And again, we can find things to back up support that is kind of what's going on here. Another theme might be if you behave and be good, you might get a reward, right? So eventually they're misbehaving. The son is like, if you behave, I'll give you new dresses. Now you might say that's kind of bribing the raindrops. Yeah, but it's part of emotional responses and resolutions to some things. You can't bribe your way out of every conflict, right? And remember, this is the problem, the solution. You can't bribe your way out of every conflict. There's that. There's also the thing of, well, why not behave in the first place? Why take things out on others, right? So you moved it from being helter-skelter and that they were bobbing against each other. They were even spiteful. They had bad tempers. Like, why do that in the first place? It's unnecessary, right? So that's kind of a theme here as well. And we could back that up too. Um, the other, which is pseudo related to getting the reward, is that change can bring happiness. So out of the ones I gave so far, um, change can bring happiness. So that seems to be a higher level, kind of a better thematic answer. Okay. And again, you can find reasons to that. It's interesting because I'm still not convinced that's the best theme we can give. Um, it's not weak. Some of the others I gave a weak, like, do listen to what you do and told them you get a reward. That is a little not as strong as change can bring happiness here, because that is what happened in the story. Okay. Um, I think though that a lot of poems are cyclical. There's something that happens and it comes back, and the cycle that's normally happening in that cyclical thing with a poem is usually the circle of life. Okay, and if you know anything about how precipitation works and how I was mentioning before how a snowflake comes about, there's a circularity going on there in that kind of a thing, and the change is related to the transformation of the snowflake, not just from angry and mad to happy, but a physical transformation has occurred from the actual gray raindrop, the unhappy, mad raindrop, to this uh, happy scenario at the end where, and it doesn't really say it, but the inclination is that the snowflake is beautiful. Um, and we get a little hint with that word purest there too. Okay, purest doesn't mean beautiful, but this is this nice, beautiful, every snowflake is unique kind of a thing, that we've been told through many years, kind of a thing. Wait, kind of get rid of the bubble there. All right, so it's more leaning on that this is about transformation of somebody's maybe demeanor, but also their location, how they act, all these kind of transformations, and that they're cyclical in life. All right, so that seems to be where it's at. And we have reasons we can use the dresses as the metaphor. And if we come back to it, again, it's about the dresses. That's the title. And the depth we need to go in on the transformation is the figurative part, right? So that also makes sense there. And quote, that's all they're looking for. Now, when I say that's all with quotes, I think that can be hard. The change brings happiness. I think that's one that everybody can kind of leap at and get to fast. And it's not wrong. But I think the better one is this is about the cyclical behavior and something being transformed. And because they change everything physically and mentally, it could be viewed as a thing of like renewal, right? Something is making for the betterment of something and things like that. And on that note, I wish the poem actually had another stanza or two. I like we don't get told who the author is here. We're told the author's anonymous. Um, but this is interesting. I wish the author went a little deeper here. So, yeah, I like this poem, and that's the analysis. And again, you guys can connect to me at GregsTutoringNYC at gmail.com. All right. Like I said, this is part of a series. There's about a dozen or so passes already, and I'm going to add a few more still. Peace.